Hey VC, it's Danny. Um, as some of you may have seen on Andrew's channel, Andrew and I recently got to go on pretty much a mega dig this weekend. Um, Andrew drove down to my area and we stopped at Atomic Records, Freak Beat, and Amoeba Music. And yeah, I have a mega haul to show you. It was a real treat to get to hang out with Andrew in real life. He's every bit as warm and generous and knowledgeable and funny as you think he might be from watching his videos. I really, really had a great time, and I'm hoping we get to do it again. Um, yeah, let me just start because there's a lot to get through. So, started at Atomic, like I said, and Andrew was already in the jazz section, digging through when I got there. And one of the first things I found here was Miles Davis on the Corner. And this is a record that I've been hearing a lot about. I know I saw Roger Coleman show it recently. Um, it just keeps coming up. And, this kind of funky, cocaine fueled Miles, I think. Um, and one of the great things about having Andrew there was that I was able to kind of bounce this off of him and say, "What do you think about the condition? Is this a good price for this record?" And Andrew's knowledge is so vastly superior to mine that it was great. It was like digging with superpowers. I got to listen to a little bit of this. I'm really glad I picked this up. I'll definitely be returning to this. It's amazing, just the range that Miles Davis had. Um, but yeah, Miles Davis on the Corner. Um, this was a total impulse. George Cromartie, Wind in the Heather. This was in the jazz section, but the title "Wind in the Heather" and the fact that it's all just music arranged for guitars, I thought maybe this might be some type of private press folk record. It is. We'll see what I find in here. I took it off almost as soon as I started playing it because it was a little underwhelming. Turns out George Cromartie later went on to write "Please, Mr. Kennedy" in Inside Llewyn Davis, but that was just a cheap impulse grab. Um, Kind of along those lines, Bix Beiderbecke. Uh, I got this honestly mostly because I collect this RCA black and white series. I believe it's a French um, series, and it goes all the way from Louis Armstrong and Duke Ellington all the way up to Bill Dixon. Um, so again, an inexpensive record that I was kind of impulse grabbing. Uh, and one last record that I picked up while I was just kind of trying to get my feet and trying to get going for the day. Tom Brumley and Tomcat. This is I believe this is a Pedal Steel album, which is why I grabbed it. I love Pedal Steel. It's just a beautiful sound to me. This is one of those. It's got diagrams regarding levers and the technicalities of pedal steel. So this looked like there might be some treasure on here. I don't actually know. I still haven't gotten to dig in, but so that was all kind of getting my feet wet, just getting used to the rhythms of the day, I guess. And then Andrew handed me this Delaney and Bonnie and Friends Motel Shot, and Delaney and Bonnie is just it's a name I've heard, and that's about as far as my knowledge goes. But Andrew told me that this record is starting to get scarce, and that he's got some friends who are looking for it. And then I heard him mention in his video that there's a Run Out Groove coming out for Delaney and Bonnie. So thrilled to have this. I still haven't gotten to spend any time with it, but honestly, at this point, Andrew's recommendation for me is gold. If he says something's worth checking out, I'll be checking it out. I don't question it or hem and haw. So yeah, Delaney and Bonnie, Motel Shot. Soup to have that one. Another one that was also recommended by Andrew, David Ackles' American Gothic. And this is a promo copy. And both this and Delaney and Bonnie were so affordable on top of being recommended by Andrew that I couldn't pass them up. And I was happy to be able to find a solid Yazoo comp, the Leroy Carr Yazoo, to repay the favor, because Andrew really took care of me. But yeah, again, it's on Elektra 72. It's a promo. It's recommended by Andrew. It's a white label promo. But that's enough for me. To boot, it just aesthetically is, pretty much everything I'm looking for. So yeah, I'm really excited to have this one. It was a good day at Atomic. The shelves were stacked full of stuff. Like this promo copy of John Fahey and his orchestra, Old Fashioned Love. Not super familiar with the album, but I love John Fahey. He's an incredible guitarist. I think his style has been described as primitive, which I think is supposed to mean that it's self-taught. It's folk music in a real true sense of the word. This is, it's playing by your gut, I think, is how I've understood it anyway. John Fahey is a huge inspiration on M. Ward, if you know him. This is another, the Tacoma label. Just such a love letter to the old 78 labels of the 20s and 30s. So again, I haven't gotten to spend much time with this because the stack is so big that I still haven't gotten through it. But it was really, really soup to pick this up. I'd been watching a copy on eBay, and so to be able to grab a promo for a good price, I was thrilled to do it. Two more here. Again, these are Dan Hicks and his Hot Licks, Striking It Rich. These are recommended by Andrew. And like I say, if Andrew says grab it, I'll grab it. So yeah, excited to spend time with that one. I remember when he showed me this one, I was looking at the cover thinking about how much the handwriting and the design reminded me of Crumb and kind of the 60s San Francisco thing. And Andrew specifically mentioned the Cheap Suit Serenaders, Crumb's band. So I'm very, very excited. And along the same lines, Dan Hicks and his Hot Licks, Where's My Money? I really like these, I don't know what that's called, die cut folds? It's cool though. Sorry. Dan Hicks and his Hot Licks, Where's My Money? This looks like Crumb work on the back. And if it's not, it's somebody who's trying to look like Crumb. But yeah, again, Andrew recommendation, more than enough for me. It's a cool ass album cover, and I'll just be looking forward to digging into that. So, and like I said, I think Andrew said it too. Just being able to kind of make recommendations back and forth and check things off of one another. It was great. It was it just made honestly, it was one of the best digs I've had. Period. It may have been my biggest single day haul, but it was great. It was a dig like no other I've ever had. I found this Thin Lizzy um, fighting on Vertigo. I think the spaceship label, is that what that's called? I've heard Chad use that terminology. Um, I think that's what counts as the spaceship label. Um, but this was, Thin Lizzy. It's like they're permanently on my to do list, and I just never get around to it. And so I know Andrew's a fan, so being able to say, hey, is this the Thin Lizzy that I need, and have him confirm that yes, this is prime, this is what I want, was great. I only got to listen to a little bit of this, but thrilled that I got it. An Irish band, so extra points for that. And yeah, it's in nice condition. Um, this is the kind of stuff. I already had a stack. I thought the dig was over, but then we went to the back of the store to check out the new arrivals, and more and more things kept popping up. Like this Lightning Hopkins Freeform Patterns, which is, I think, on Charlie from the 80s. But it's electric lightning, I think. Or at least there's some gain or something being added to his guitar. I only got to listen to a little bit of it, but it was really good. It being an 80s release, I didn't know what I was in for. But as I played it, I just got prime Lightning Hopkins. I love Lightning Hopkins. Such a huge influence on Townes Van Zandt, on so much of the music in general that I love, and just an incredible artist. So, Lightning Hopkins, Freeform Patterns. Still at Atomic here. I also picked this up. Harper, 1970 and 1975. Factory sample, not for sale, which is a new one for me. But this is on Harvest Heritage, and it's a compilation of Roy Harper. According to the liner notes, which I've read the liner notes, I haven't listened to the album. It was originally going to be entitled The Acoustic Roy Harper, but Roy was not at all happy with that, and so it became Harper, 1970 and 1975. This is another one. This is a UK pressing, and Harper's not easy to come by. It's on this beautiful Harvest label, so this was a little more expensive. It wasn't a cheap record, and to be able to have Andrew there to double check it, to check the just get a second look on quality, and check the track listing and tell me, look, you want this. It was great. It was great. And yeah, thrilled to have it. Never easy to find Roy Harper. Always happy to have something else on the Harvest label, even just as a collector who objectifies these records as much as a music fan who loves this music. All right. Somehow we are still not at the end. Almost, though. This was sitting up on the wall. Ramones' Rocket to Russia. This is an original on U.S. Sire. And yeah, I was just standing next to Andrew, and I said, "Oh, I need Rocket to Russia," and he said, "Well, that's a good price." And I pulled it down to check it out. Inner sleeve is in beautiful condition, and he said, "How does it look?" And I took it out and looked at it and said, "It looks beautiful." So it came home with me, and I'm very glad that it did. Um, you know, it wouldn't have been hard to find a reissue, but it's getting harder and harder to find the originals, especially these first two. I don't know that I'll ever find the self-titled original, but to be able to get this in this condition, and you know, it was just great. Very, very happy. And this is probably my favorite pick from the Atomic Dig, and evidence of what a great guy Andrew is. He handed me this and said, "I already have one. Do you want this?" This is an original pressing of the brothers and sisters Dylan's Gospel on Ode, which I got for a song, and like I say, all because Andrew had some beautiful, beautiful condition. All because Andrew decided he didn't need a second copy, and it was priced at like, yeah, let me pick up a second copy. I don't know. This is one of those records that I just never thought I would own. I have the Light in the Attic repress, which is fantastic, but you buy that thinking I'll never even see an original. I love this album. It sounds great. I did have a little bit of one of those experiences where, even coming from a Light in the Attic reissue, you put the original on and there's detail there that is lost. Light in the Attic, I know they get the tapes whenever they can, but tapes deteriorate, information is lost over time. I don't know. I'm just rambling. I'm so thrilled to have this record. Still, thank you, Andrew. It was just, I don't know. I think I'm still a little blown away. How cool it was for him to pass on this and to pass it over to me. It was just great. And kind of emblematic of the whole day for me. Yeah, I really just can't say enough. What a great time I had, and how much I appreciated spending time with Andrew. So that was just the first store, and then we went to Freakbeat in Sherman Oaks, and I got a bit of a slow start there, but as I was kind of wandering around, I picked up The Great Divide. I'll make it bigger because it's CD, by Willie Nelson on CD. I still collect CDs. They're dirt cheap. Nobody wants them, and they're every bit as antiquated and full of music as records. So it makes as much sense to collect them as anything else. This was I was excited to find this. This is a CD promo copy of Willie Nelson Teatro, which the Light in the Attic reissued, and I missed, and I've been trying to hunt down a copy, and they're all too expensive, and this was nothing. This was a cup of coffee. So happy to have that. One last thing I picked up just while we're on alternate formats was a Bonnie Prince Billy single. The B-side's to Time to Be Clear. The A-side of this, you see why it got cut, but the B-side, I don't even know the name of the track, but the B-side I thought was a great song. And this is why I pick up these Bonnie Prince Billy tracks, because he's kind of like Ryan Adams. He's so prolific that it can render... It can mean that there's no difference between the good stuff and the bad stuff sometimes. I think, but that also makes it so that you're still looking for gems everywhere. Also, it's insane, but I have a secret ambition to be a Bonnie Prince Billy completist. I think because the mountain's so tall, I want to try to climb it. Anyway. A few other things I picked up at Freakbeat. Honeysuckle Rose. This is the soundtrack to the film Honeysuckle Rose, which a Jerry Schatzberg film. It's not that easy to find, but if you can find it, I highly, highly recommend it. It's beautiful and naturalistic, and Willie does a great job acting in it. And it's a great music movie, and this soundtrack is incredible. Um, and this soundtrack I have been passing up for years and years and years for like $2. And then as soon as I actually saw the movie and was like, God, how do I not have that soundtrack? I couldn't find it. And anyway, this copy is a beautiful copy, which is really nice. You find a lot of beat up copies. Um, so thrilled to grab that. And I was, like I said, I was having a slow start at Freakbeat. I think I had spent so much energy at Atomic that I didn't really know what to do. But I found their folk section tucked away in the back, and I found this Dave Van Ronk folk singer on Prestige. It's a little beat, and it's on this green Prestige label, which I still haven't looked into whether that makes it older or newer or what that means. But this is $3. And this is, Andrew said when I showed it to him, he said that may be his best record. I mean, yeah, for $3, I just couldn't leave it behind. I'll see what happens once I give it a spin, but at the very least, somebody will find this in a VCLT package. Very happy to grab that. And then I saw, and this is one of my good omen things. Chieftains Live. Just whenever I see a little vein of Irish folk, I know I'll be having a good dig. And I've actually never seen this record. I have a lot of Chieftains music. I think I have like 1 through 8, and then some of the later stuff on CD, Long Black Veil and whatnot. But yeah, a live record sounded great to me. How can you turn them down? Like and that label, which is in Gaelic, and I can't pronounce it. Everything about this is on Clatter Records, I guess. I just needed to come home with it. And the great thing about collecting Irish folk in America is that nobody wants it, so it's just freely available. Case in point, The Spirit of Freedom, Christy Moore. This is on Green Linnet, WEA. This is another one. This is a fantastic album. It's an early solo record from Christy Moore after he left Planxty. It's another one that I had a copy of already, but for $5 I couldn't leave behind. And for some reason, this one I see gets pricey on eBay now and again. So I thought, let me make a safe home for it until somebody else needs it. So thrilled to pick that up. Spirit of Freedom, Christy Moore. This is one of those that if you ever see it, and it's cheap like this, just grab it. Early Christy Moore records are great and super worth having, even if it's not 100% your thing. Then I grabbed this. Andrew was asking me if I knew about Pentangle, which led me to their bin, and I picked up this promo. Reflection. It's in really nice condition for a solid price. And the name of it is escaping me. But I only had one other Pentangle album. Something Sister. Hey guys, sorry, video got cut off there. Dogs were barking at something. So I'll either upload this in 2 parts or I'll just stitch it together. And you'll already know what I've done by that point. To keep it going, finds at Freakbeat. I was super excited to pick this up. This is Thelonious Monk, Dangerous Liaisons. This is music from a session that Monk did for the soundtrack to Dangerous Liaisons, and I guess some of the music was used in the film, but there's more that has just recently been reissued here. Teddy had recently showed this in Eat Sleep over at Eat Sleep Vinyl in one of his videos, and anything that shows up in one of Teddy's videos instantly is high on the want list. Just thrilled to pick this up. It sounds fantastic. Pressed at QRP, just nice thick sleeve, just everything you want in a reissue. Beautiful record, one that I know I'll be returning to many times. Gorgeous sound, just everything you want. And speaking of, this is my last grab for Freak Beat, but one that I've seen in the VC a lot, and one that I've really been wanting to pick up, especially since I got a copy of Funhouse for myself. This is the Run Out Groove issue of the Stooges, the Funhouse sessions, or the highlights from the Funhouse sessions. Again, just having Andrew there to talk about it when I picked it up just made it even better. Seemed like a perfect pickup for our dig. But when I grabbed it, Andrew said he'd never seen anybody work so hard at sounding like they were falling apart. And just from the opening track, you hear them discussing the tempo, and then they dive in, and it's like, I know what he means. I didn't quite know what he meant until I listened to it, and then listening to it, I totally know what he means, and I see why I've been seeing that record so much in the VC. It's just a great record, and I was super happy to pick it up. And so then, on our way out, Andrew's like, "Oh, I brought some records for you." And we're walking to the car. We're about to go get some lunch or go to Atomic or something. I forget. Or Amoeba, I mean. I forget the exact order of events, but Andrew says, let me go to the car. I got something for you. And he pulled out this stack of records. It's the first VCLT I've ever gotten, and I'm still blown away. R.L. Burnside, first recordings. R.L. Burnside is a blues artist who I'm familiar with. I've watched some of his videos on YouTube. Not his videos, videos of him on YouTube. I've heard stuff. He's been on the want list for a long time. I just hadn't gotten around to picking up any of his stuff. It's exactly the kind of blues that I love, that I'm into. And so Fat Possum. You collect records, and most of the people in your life feel like they could never even buy you a record unless you told them exactly what it was, because it's too hard to know your tastes, and I totally understand that. But it's just kind of, it blows you away when somebody can hit the nail on the head so much. Muddy Waters, folk singer. This is on the 80s repress on the original Chess Masters label, which, because actual original chess pressings are so scarce and hard to find, I love this collection. Steve Hoffman did a lot of these, but apparently only put his name on the ones that were very hard to put together, difficult to put together. I know Andrew said this is one of his favorite albums. I spun the first side. I totally see why. It was audiophile heaven, Muddy Waters heaven, blues heaven. This is just an incredible record. It's just fantastic. So thank you again, Andrew. And that, as if that wasn't enough, Townes Van Zandt live at the Old Quarter. This is the reissue on Fat Possum. I have an old beat up tomato copy, but I was thrilled to have a nice, clean, beautiful reissue. It's an incredible album. Yeah, I mean, this is one of Andrew's very favorite albums, and with absolute good reason. It's Townes Van Zandt at his peak and pinnacle. Again, can't thank you enough, Andrew. It's perfect. And then in the pile was John Martin, Solid Air. This is an Island reissue. This is an album I've heard of through the VC for a long time. I've been meaning to check out for a long time. Just haven't kind of gotten around to, because I didn't know where it fell in my tastes. And yeah, so to have Andrew say, look, you should check this out. It's kind of got the folky thing you like. It's kind of got that Nick Drake thing. I'm just over the moon. I don't know what to say. And the real icing on the cake was Link Wray. This is an original on Polydor. I don't even know what to say. I not only did I never think that I'd find one of these, but I never thought that I would just be gifted one. Again, I only got to listen to the first side, but oh my god, it was so good. I haven't known what I've been missing with Link Wray, and yeah, I mean, it's everything I'd want. I don't know. I'm really speechless. This is such a generous gift. This is the best stack from the whole day. And yeah, just sums up what kind of day it was, what kind of person Andrew is. And so thanks again, Andrew. And I'm already putting together a package of VCLT for you. So don't look for that first Thundercat album too hard. But so we got some lunch. We had a great discussion. Talked life, talked music, talked family. And then we got over to Amoeba to end the day. And one of the first things that I found was this Screaming Females album, which I was super psyched to find. They're a great punk band. I'm going to talk about this in another video, I think. So I'll just leave it at the fact that this is a self-release, not on label. And it was like $10. I was super happy to find this. Then came Wayne Shorter, Schizophrenia. This is a Van Gelder stamped blue label. And this was another one where I knew enough to look at it, but I didn't know enough to know if I needed to go home with it, and to have Andrew there to be like, well, the good thing about Wayne Shorter is he hasn't really made any bad albums. And then I got to play this the other night. So glad that I came home with it. Wayne Shorter, Curtis Filler, James Spaulding, Joe Chambers, Ron Carter, and Herbie Hancock. It's fantastic. It's great. Really accessible, but still interesting out there. Fantastic. And I also found the ecstatic music of Alice Coltrane. Not going to attempt it. This is out on the Waka Bop, which is a label I've been hearing a lot about recently. I guess these are tapes that Alice Coltrane had made late in her career. And it's very spiritual music. It's incredibly energetic music. There's the Sion on Tom singers. There's a big chorus. Ecstatic music is a very apt description of this. I did not know what I was in for. When I listened to it, I was shocked, but I was also taken away to another place. It's really, really interesting, transportive music. Super glad to have had this. Picked it up, and excited to spend more time with it in the future. And the last thing here I started to watch Andy's Top 100, and then I had to stop for whatever reason. But I got far enough to see him mention Karen Dalton 1966, and I have Karen Dalton's 2 proper studio albums, but that's about it. Um, and so I was really, really happy to see this in the Karen Dalton bin. It was the last one. I snagged it, and I'm so glad I did. This is incredible. Um, I first heard of Karen Dalton, I want to say it was like a Mojo sampler of like Dylan's New York or something. And the version of Katie Cruel on there was my first exposure to Karen Dalton, other than reading about her in the Dylan's Chronicles. Um, and that's the version of Katie Cruel that's on this album. So it was great to get that. I mean, Karen Dalton, if you haven't listened to her, she's a folkie from the '60s. Kind of a recluse, didn't love performing, loved to reinvent the songs every time she approached them. Um, it's an old cliche, but basically such a pure artist that fame and acclaim eluded her. Um, art and commerce are different disciplines, different pursuits, and becoming famous is a thing you do because you're good at it. Just like playing guitar is a thing you do because you're good at it, and being an incredible musician and being famous or receiving wide acclaim or being well known, they don't always go hand in hand as easily as our culture likes to tell us that they do. Karen Dalton is a true treasure. The music that she made is really incredible, and I just couldn't be more thrilled to have picked this up. Um, and that's it. I'm surrounded by piles here. You can't see them, but I can. Yeah, it was an epic haul. It was a great day. Um, couldn't have enjoyed Andrew's company more. Couldn't have appreciated the records he passed my way, the VCLT, the conversation. It was great. It was a great day. I really, really hope we get to do it again. And if any of you out there in the VC are thinking about meeting up with some other VCers for a dig, I would highly, highly encourage it. Yeah, still kind of in the afterglow of it all, and yeah, just wanted to make this video and show you guys the haul. So I'll be back soon with another one, and till then, I'll see you later. Thanks.